Now we get to it. Ade voca avoge Beelzebub. Ade voca avoge Beelzebub. Ade voca avoge Beelzebub. Ade voca avoge Beelzebub. Greetings, heathens and naredowells. I'm Don, the Philosophical Satanist, and what you have just seen is the opening of, in an abbreviated version, the opening of a ritual to Beelzebub. Now I've lit a brown candle, Beelzebub's primary color, in the hopes that he'll join me for this video as my patron demon and part of my compact to him to make a video explaining more about who he really is, how to work with him, and once again, to not drink the Kool-Aid regarding the negative press. So, let's get into it, shall we? Now, the songs I played were the opening of Moonlight Sonata. He likes the first and third movement. Night at Bald Mountain was what I lit the candle to. You've also got Hall of the Mountain King is another one. Beelzebub is a big fan of dark classical music. I find that works really, really well, and you can feel sort of the power and the emotion in it. The enchant Ade Voca Avoge. You can put Beelzebub or Beelzebul as I did, or Beelzebuth as it should be, and we'll get into that. But Ade Voca Avoge is the enchant that you can use to connect to the entity in question. Sometimes you need to do it for a while to feel the connection. Myself personally, me and Bars have been friends for a while, so I hook in with him pretty quickly when I use it. So I'm joined by my familiar's buddy and my new mate Marius, as we are going to explore Beelzebub or Beelzebuth in my Exploring Demonology series. So, now, Beelzebub. We know who Beelzebub is. Beelzebub is a modern day rock star amongst demonological circles. He is the man, right? Everyone knows who he is. He's considered to be one step below Satan in the hierarchy. He is one of the 7 princes of hell. His sin is gluttony. Definitely my favorite sin. He is an absolute champion, and he is prolific inside of the modern age, modern cinema, modern movies. He's all over that. Like, considering where he was, where he fell, where he came to, and what he's evolved into in the modern age, the only figure that has even begun to compare to old Beels is old Scratch himself, the devil. So, let's start with Christian mythology and their, let's just say it, bullshit. So, according to Christian mythology, right, He was formerly, his name was, as his angelic bloodline pre-fall, he was either Triel or Yophiel, right? He fell during the war to become one of the seven princes of hell and the leader of the Order of the Fly. He was one of the first angels to jump on board with Lucifer for the rebellion, and one of the first three to fall alongside Lucifer and Leviathan being the other one. He's one of the oldest angels. He was created shortly after the heavens and the earth were created. He was originally of the order of Seraphim, the second choir of angels, and then rose to become a member of the Seraphim, the highest choir of angels. Now, there's a lot of intellectually dishonest Christians online, especially inside of demonology groups, and I've run afoul of this. They mix the Book of Enoch with the Dead Sea Scrolls, particularly the War Scroll, with the Bible. And, you know, as far as the Bible goes, is it King James? Is it a different version? They just hodgepodge it all together to create something that suits their confirmation bias without actually exploring the fact of the situation. So when discussing Beelzebub with a Christian, you have to be very careful, especially considering he is like one of the chief possessors and bad guys. You know, he's like head spinning pea soup exorcist type possession. But you'll notice right now I have invoked him without a protective circle, without a triangle of the art, without anything. And I don't know if you can feel it, but he's here right now. He's not hurting me. He's not harmful. He's not. It's your mindset. It's what they make you think. Now, the other big references that you'll get are inside of the Key of Solomon. The Key of Solomon is really, it provides the foundation for a lot of Western occultism and white magic dealings with demons, which I've already made videos on. I'm not going to tread over that same old ground. But he appeared very heavily in the Tale of Solomon. He was, Solomon used him to summon other demons so he could bind and control them because of Beelzebub's power and influence in hell. He is an immensely powerful figure, even bastardized as he is inside of Christian mythology. But who was he really? And this is going to be the meat and potatoes of this video, because you can do enough internet research. There are books out there, you know, that slavishly recreate everything that's ever been written on him from various perspectives, but there's very, very little out there that actually talks about who he was before the Christians bastardized him, before the real fall, right? And this is what he's wanting me to share. And I like to think this is why you find yourself on my page, The Philosophical Satanist. If you're watching this video, there's a little link to my page below. The algorithm of Facebook hates me because of my content and because I'm still new and growing. Click on that, give it a like, give it a subscribe, watch my other videos, help me with the algorithm, all right? We'll spread some real information, we'll get off the beaten path, all right? And we'll see if we can't actually, between ourselves, really learn some things. But self-promotion aside, Beelzebub. Who is Beelzebub? Well, Beelzebub was originally Beelzebub. And Beelzebub was the local god of the Philistine city of Ekron, otherwise known as Acheron. Right? Now, Ekron was one of the big five in Philistine, and Beelzebub was the local god of Ekron. Now, Beelzebub is an adaptation on the big king local god Baal. Baal sat right alongside Jehovah as his brother, as they were the two chief gods of the region. Now, Baal was known as a lover of humanity. Jehovah was actually seen as the sort of shitty brother who, was a bit of a prick. But Baal was very concerned with humans. He was the lover of humanity, and Beelzebub was the local variant, much the same way as the Egyptians did with Ra. So you had like Ammon Ra. Ammon Ra was a god in his own right with his own powers and everything, but he was a variation upon Ra. So Beelzebub was the same thing, and he was very popular. He was a fertility god and a god of protection. He was interested in human well-being. Now, in order to truly understand what him being a fertility god means, you have to actually go looking into Philistine religion, like the religious practices and what they believed at the time. Because if you go look up Beelzebub, you will not find all that much information online. But if you go looking up Philistine religion, then you will start to get more information. So fertility gods, right? Now, naturally, fertility gods were all about crops and bountiful crops, because feeding your people was of primary concern. So therefore, you could call upon them for clement weather, bountiful crops. But fertility also covered things like childbirth and procreation. So Beelzebub was a protector of children, and he was also a protector of family. If a family member was in danger, or a family member was ill, or there was something regarding your family that was in trouble, you'd call upon Beelzebub to come and intervene for you. He was also seen as a protective factor against other demons, and I think this is why inside of the Key of Solomon and a lot of other works he's seen as a being with power over others. So Beelzebub was a good guy. He was a really good guy. And yet, you do the research yourself, look into what happened. But basically, the followers of Jehovah decided that they were going to take over, and Jehovah was going to become the only god of the region. And Beelzebub suffered a degeneration, and it was in stages. It was slow. First, he was brought down a peg to Beelzebul. So when Echaron fell, Beelzebul was the person who was the being that Beelzebub was allowed to continue as. Now, Beelzebul, while not a primary god, was still he was a couple of notches down, but he was still pretty primary. He had some important features. His name means Lord of the Mansion or Mountains, ruler of the high places. His area of control was flies. He was the Lord of the Flies. And that in itself wasn't negative, because as Lord of the Flies, he would keep flies away from sacrifices, which was seen to be incredibly useful. Flies were seen as carriers of plague and disease, so he could protect against plague and disease. And he was also the god of information, hence the old saying, the fly on the wall. Now, eventually, he got denigrated down to Beelzebub. And Beelzebub came with connotations of just plain Lord of the Flies. And what are flies attracted to? Flies are attracted to dung. Yes, quietly. Beelzebub means piece of shit. That's how far the propaganda worked against him. Now, he doesn't take the name Beelzebub as an insult nowadays. You can call him Beelzebub. I call him Beelzebub, Beelzebub, interchangeably. So don't take it. It's kind of like, where you get given a nickname that you don't really like, but you don't complain and you just kind of wear it, and it becomes a bit of a badge of honor. Well, that's what Beelzebub has done, because people know him as Beelzebub, and it's no longer insulting. It's just a name. So now, Beelzebub, he's had time. He's had time to evolve. He's had time to grow. And because, as we've explored in videos, what you think is, he has a laundry list of powers, gifts, and wonderful things that he can bring into your life. And this is going to be the rest of the video. We're going to explore what he does, what he likes, how to contact him, and, a couple of other little pieces of information. So first up, if you like your Hebraic lettering and numerology, in the same way the demon god Jehovah is YHVH, Beelzebub or Beelzebub, you can BCLZBVB. BCLB. I love it when that happens. BCLZBVB. Right, so that's the same thing as YHVH. All right, so if that's what you want to go and you want to work along star charts with numerology and things like that, his planet is Venus. Use the Venus chart. Venus hours and Venus days work the best. He's also been associated with Jupiter, but I think that's because he's a ruling god, and along the Roman lines, Jupiter is the most powerful of the planets, but he was, to the Philistines, it was Venus. Right, so if you're going to BCLZBVB, numerologically, use a Venus chart. That'll give you his set. That'll give you the symbol. Right, now let's explore his spheres. This is the part I find most interesting, because most spirits, beings, entities, etc. are only really concerned with one or two things. There's only one or two things they bring in. But let's see what Beelzebub controls. What calling on him, what having a relationship with him is capable of bringing. You've got healing of the body, of the soul, and healing of trauma. You've got astral travel, astral projection, and astral protection. That's right, he's someone you can bring along when you astral travel to have your back. That's gold. Wealth, money. Wealth and money are different. You can have lots of money but be poor in wealth. Work, divination, luck, bravery, strength, cleansing, protection, business, prosperity, property, weather, biology, and by biology they mean biological things like illness, healing illness, and such forth. Knowledge, and it just says knowledge. That broadness indicates that knowledge as a whole, therefore there's probably very little he wouldn't be able to teach you. Power, self-confidence, conquest, and he casts out and commands demons. So if you're dealing with negative entities and negative things, then Beelzebub is the man you want at your back. His colors are brown, black, and red. Brown being the primary. I've lit a brown candle in honor of him to increase the energy and vibration along his lines. Candles, colored candles, little votives. A funky candle holder that doesn't quite include in the candle. But these little votives, they're fantastic. They're like $1 a piece. You can buy them online. I go through a company, Nimbin Candles, Nimbin. They're very, very reasonable. They're in Australian dollars, so that's nice for all you people outside where your dollar isn't shit. But you can buy candles of the three colors, being brown, black, and red. They're what he likes burnt at his altar. Those are his colors. right? So when you light a candle in his name, you say, I dedicate this to Beelzebub or Beelzebuth. I light this for bring me your blessings. Now, I didn't, because he and I don't really sit on ceremony anymore. The enchant carries it. But at the beginning, just like with establishing a new friendship with a human, you stand on formality. You are polite. He and I can assume things of him and he can assume things of me, and I don't need to follow all of the formalities, and that's something that develops with time. His, as I said, his angelic race was the cherubim, and then he evolved to the seraphim. His incenses are frankincense and myrrh, and of course, because he's the king, and frankincense is great incense. Get your hands on some frankincense. Cost you about $15 for a sachet, and that sachet, the resin goes a long way. That $15 will last you a lot. Many rituals, many invocations, a lot of time. And frankincense is good for most everything. So get your hands on some frankincense. Right? His herbs are yarrow and tobacco, which is particularly good for smokers because you can light a ciggy and you can smoke a ciggy with bowls. But yarrow works just as well, and tobacco, well, cigarettes aren't cheap in Australia, but you just squeeze out some of a ciggy onto a charcoal disc, and there you go, you're burning some tobacco in Beelzebub's name. Right? Alkaline foods. If you offer food, alkaline foods are his jam, and his stones are moldavite, odendrite, opal, obsidian, and smoky quartz. Now, smoky quartz is a good one. He really likes smoky quartz. He vibes right out with that. Alcohols, if you're going to offer alcohol, he likes good rum, whiskey, and wine. The best you can get your hands on, or the best you can afford. So if you're on a $20 budget, spend $20 on your bottle of wine. Right? Yeah, I'm drinking some red with him. It's not particularly good, but I'm 2 days from payday. It's the best I could do. All right? Now, his enchant, Ade Voca Avoge. I've explained that one. His planet is Venus, as we have explained. Now, here's where it's going to get a little hairy, and those of you who don't know as much as you might are going to like, oh, this is a red flag. This is, because we're going to get dark. We're going to get into some black magic here because it's necessary. Now, that happy little camper is his sigil. If you need to pause, you can look it up online. Really simple, Beelzebub sigil, and it'll give you, but that's the one you want to find. Now, when you make your sigil, right, you can put it on clean white paper. Personally, I use Reflex, the printer paper. Schmick, good quality, strong, lasts, easy to work with. You can paint it or engrave it on wood or on metal, however you want to do it. But there's one thing Beelzebub really likes, and this is going to be the heckle razor. Beelzebub likes blood. Likes a blood offering. Now, the ignorant will freak the fuck out at this. But the simple fact of the matter is you have to go back to the old days, the old pagan religion, the old pagan worship where the blood is the life. The blood carries your DNA, your spiritual essence, who you are, who you will be, what you are. Now, it's not like you have to open a vein over the sigil, all right? I recommend, I've got a one of those diabetes stickers. I just prick my finger and squeeze a drop onto or into whatever. So you put a drop of blood on the sigil, or if you're doing it on a board or a piece of wood, a drop of blood on the board, and then you create the sigil, because what that does is that puts your energy into it, and you're not selling your soul, you're not giving yourself away. Inside of my YouTube page, there's a video called Don't Sell Your Soul. If you sell your soul, you're an idiot. All right? This is not some weird contract. This is purely you giving your energy to this interaction. Right? The video will explain more, but you're not selling your soul. You don't grant him control over yourself unless you expressly do so. And passing over your power to anyone or anything, your autonomy and your personal power, is a fool's move. And if you do it, you're a fool. Now, so a drop of blood on the sigil is really good practice. He likes that. It lets him know you're serious. Now, when you're... sorry, just at the bottom of my notes are a little jumbled, but his element is air. So, to those of you who are witchy inclined and understand, the element of air is what you will want to tap into, and air symbology, air stones, air things will please him. Now, when you want to contact him, I'm not going to tell you how to cast a circle or don't cast a circle. I'm not going to tell you how to run your ritual. That's up to you to figure out for yourself, right? But once you've made your preparations, you basically meditate and do the chant Ade Vokai Avoge from 5, 10, 15, however long it takes. You just chant it and chant it, throw his name in, and just wait for your energy, your vibration to level out, to just reach that calm, that line where you can feel that string of the universe that starts to connect you into everything that is. And that's when you reach out to Beelzebub. That's when you light your candle. That's when you start your ritual. Very important. Very important. Center, ground. Get yourself in the right stance. Because Beelzebub likes to know that you're serious. When he's your friend, he will take interest in you. He will work for you. As we've shown, he has a massive gifts to give. He wants to know that you're serious if he's going to invest time in you. Okay? So take the time to get yourself attuned. And it gets easier as time goes on. Like myself, you saw at the video, within a couple of minutes I was in the zone. It gets easier, but at the beginning, when you're exploring your relationship with him, just take the time to do it properly. So that should be more than enough to get you started working with this wonderful, wonderful entity. Feel free to chuck a comment. Got a further question? Happy to answer it. And until next we speak, this is Don, the Philosophical Satanist, saying hail thyself. Have a beautiful day.